Happy June. Welcome to this vlog. Welcome to the first week of Clear Your Shit. I am obviously really excited for this little mini readathon. If you're not familiar with Clear Your Shit, I will link all of the creators' information in the description. I'll also link to my Clear Your Shit playlist for last year when I did the main readathon, and this is just like the mini readathon. Like, this is just to, like, you know, get us through the year, but the point of Clear Your Shit is to have a readathon where the objective is to read your unread TBR. And I just had so much fun doing it, so I'm really excited to be doing it again. And it's a lot more low-key this month, which is great. And I'm really excited to read the books that I've picked for this first week. So we only have 2 prompts this week, which is great. It's much more manageable. I think for the main readathon, it was 3 prompts a week, and that was a little touch and go sometimes because apparently I like to buy chunky books, and sometimes it's hard to just blast through a chunky book. So for our TBR this week, the first prompt is a book you got because of other media. So it was in a movie, it was in another book, it was on social media, and I'm going to be reading Godkiller, which, if you remember, is also one of the titles I pulled from my TBR jar. But this book landed on my radar because of Nicole Brinkley. And Nicole is one of the managers at Oblong Books, which is a indie bookstore, and I have followed her on Instagram for a really long time, and she absolutely loved Godkiller and was raving about it on her Instagram early days. And the way Nicole writes about books always convinces me that I need to read it. I don't always agree with her, but she always convinces me that it could be a book that I would love. So I am going to be reading Godkiller, and I'm nervous and I'm excited. I'm excited because Nicole loved it, but I'm nervous because other than her, I haven't seen glowing reviews for this since it came out. So I am nervous. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it. I hope I love it, but you know, you just never know. But this is going to be the book that fulfills that first prompt. And then the second prompt for this week is a book that is your favorite genre, which that's a broad. Oh, that's broad. So I haven't decided if I'm going to go fantasy or if I'm going to go sci-fi, because I think we know I love both. I could also go horror, because horror is also my favorite genre. If I go horror, I could pick up Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, which is also my TBR for this month. If I go fantasy or sci-fi, I have no idea what I'll pick. So I think we're just going to have to leave that prompt until after I finish Godkiller, because there's just too many options. I just don't know. I also have to look through my unread shelf a little bit because I'm not quite sure what all my choices are. I've also bought quite a few books into the house recently, and we're going to be bringing in more this weekend because Powell's Books, which is a bookstore in Portland, they're having a warehouse sale this weekend, and my sister and I are going to go check it out, and I'm really, really excited, and I'm hoping I don't go whole hog there, because that would be embarrassing, but I don't know. The possibilities, there's a lot of them. So thank you for watching this vlog. I hope you have a fun time. I hope I have a fun time, and yeah. Hello, my friends. So we had a change of plans today. My sister and I aren't going to the book sale after all. I was heading her way, and she sent me this video that she saw of the line to get into the warehouse sale, and we were both like, no. It's not our vibe, not our scene. That's too many people, too much of a hassle. And so I turned around and I came home and I bought myself a slice of cheesecake at the grocery store to make myself feel better. and I have coffee, and I have a sugar high now that I'm about to couple with a caffeine high, and my family is gone because they made plans since I had plans, and I'm going to take advantage of them being out of the house to prep dinner and tidy, because the house was clean yesterday when I left to pick up the kids from school, and I don't know what happened, but it's a disaster now, so I'm going to straighten it a little bit because it's bothering me. I started Godkiller yesterday, and I am 56 pages in. I'm on chapter 7, and I had started listening to this on audio, and I very quickly had to pause and go back and reread the section that I had just listened to. Not because there's anything wrong with the narrator or audiobook quality, but because there were a lot of names thrown at me very quickly, and I wasn't quite sure I fully understood everything that happened in the prologue. But now I feel like at almost 60 pages in, I have a handle on who all the characters are. I think all the perspectives that we're going to be following have been introduced, because we are following, is it 3? 4? 4 POVs. Ooh. I believe there is a multi-POV square for the Reddit Fantasy Bingo board for this year, so this would count. So we're following 4 perspectives. Our main one is Kissin, and Kissin, as a child, her family was favored by the ocean, the god of the ocean, and in this world there's a plethora of gods. They're all over the place. They're very much in the humans' lives and interacting with people, and are, of course, like the petty, spiteful gods that we know and love, like Greek mythology kind of gods. And so Kissin's family, her father especially, is favored by the ocean god, and then the ocean god and a fire god are like getting into a battle, and because of that, the fire god is able to convince other people in Kissin's village to sacrifice Kissin and her family to the fire god. And Kissin is able to free herself and free her father, but ends up, she is the only one who survives that. And then we skip ahead, and there's a notice from the current king saying that the gods have been outlawed and worship of gods is forbidden within the borders of this kingdom, and anyone who is found harboring shrines, totems, charms, and symbols, it's punishable by a fine, gaol, or public whipping of your feet. Do not put me down for that one. That sounds horrible. And then there are these Godkillers, these Vegas. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. When I listen to the audiobook, I will find out. Who go around and like dismantle shrines and basically keep gods from being worshipped. And so Kissin has grown up to be a Godkiller and is patrolling around the kingdom doing just that. And Godkillers aren't exactly like beloved in this kingdom, so she's not welcomed in the villages and towns that she goes into. But so we're following Kissin, and then we're following another girl named Inara, and Inara has somehow been bound to this god named Skedi, who is like a god of white lies, and we don't know how yet, but Skedi and Skede, I have to listen to the audiobook, and Inara basically have somehow become tethered together, and they cannot like even physically be separated without dying, basically. And then we're also following Elo, who is a baker but like has a connection back to the king. And anyways, there's a lot going on, and I'm liking it so far. Yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts. I'm very much like no thoughts, head empty, just vibing like while I've been reading it so far. So not a whole lot of things to say or, like deep thoughts, but I think it's interesting. I like the setup. Kissin is disabled, and I like the disability rep so far. Hopefully it continues to be good. Also, Kissin is gay, so we like that too. And yeah, so far I'm kind of a fan. So I'm going to pop in the audiobook, see if I track it better now that I'm familiar with the names of all the kingdoms and the names of all the people, and see how it goes from there. Wow. Okay, first of all, I freaking knew it. I didn't know how I would know it, but I freaking knew it. And no, I'm not going to tell you what I knew, and I'm not going to give you any hints because it's a massive spoiler for the book, but I freaking knew it. And I feel very vindicated, validated, something right now. I loved this so much. Look, Kissin is everything I ever want in a main character. She is strong, she's smart, whoa, sorry. I moved my foot. She's brass. She's got a big old chip on her shoulder and is not afraid to like throw it around, and so tough. And I just and it's like is really soft and squishy on the inside, but it takes a lot of work to get to the inside. Anyways, I loved Kissin so much, and I liked everybody. Anara, I could never get. Okay, I will say my one complaint is I don't know if I missed it or if Hannah Kaner never actually says it, but I did not have a good idea on how old Anara is. She keeps getting referred to as a little girl, and I eventually decided, just for my own peace of mind, that she's 11. I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah, I don't know, but that's what I decided in my head, just so that I would stop thinking about how old Anara might be. But okay, let me back up. First of all, hi, this is a 5-star, in case you were wondering. This is 5 working stars. So we have 4 POVs. We have Kissin, who's the girl, whose family was sacrificed to the fire god and is now a Godkiller. And then we are following Elogast, who is a former knight to the king, who is now a baker, and Anara, who is a girl who has the god Skedi tethered to her, and then Skedi's POV as well. And this is a road trip fantasy. So I will say, if road trip fantasy is not your thing, because I know for some people they just don't enjoy that, then yeah, this is not going to work for you. But if you love a road trip and people who are on their own quests, who come together maybe a little bit reluctantly and join together temporarily to make their separate missions easier, and then end up joining together on purpose because they grow to care for each other. That's like my favorite kind of fantasy sci-fi, or my favorite kind of fantasy found family, is that kind of, we're all on our own separate quests, and we end up traveling together, and the act of traveling together, the trials and things that we go through, are what start to knit us together into this found family. I just love it. I'll eat it up with a spoon every time. It's my favorite. And I'm gonna need to get my hands on book 2, like ASAP, and also buy myself a finished copy of Godkiller, because this is an arc that I've had since before the book came out. That is what I think. I think the writing is beautiful. And I love, not only are the 4 main characters so well written and they're so flawed, and I love how flawed they are, but how they are obviously all trying their best in the really shitty circumstances that they have found themselves in. They all have very real trauma. They're trying so hard to not let that trauma define them, and I really loved that. So I loved how the characters were written, how the main characters were written, but then the side characters were all really good too. The secondary characters, the other people who are traveling with them for part of the book, it was just all so well done, and I thought the world was really expansive and really interesting, and there was obviously a lot of thought put into all the different gods and their different lore and how gods are sustained in this world. I liked it. so much. So what else can I say? I mean, obviously I go into every book hoping that it's going to be a 5-star. Like I very rarely pick up a book and go, well, I'm going to hate this, but I'm going to read it anyways. Like I try really hard not to put myself into those reading situations. So even though like that is my like outlook a lot of the time, there are some times where I'm still really surprised when a book is 5 stars. Like I know this book has gotten really mixed reviews, and so I was apprehensive going into it, like I mentioned earlier, just because I didn't know how my opinion would be based on other people's. But I don't know what y'all's problems are. This is fan-fucking-tastic, so that is a great start off to clear your shit. Though now I'm going to be buying more books because finished copy, and I need to get the second one. I had placed a hold on the audiobook for the second one before I had actually finished Godkiller, and now that I know how it ends, I don't think I'm going to be able to wait the multiple months Libby says it's going to take for me to get the audiobook. So that's a problem, but it's so good. Okay. Well, I'm going to go text my sister that I loved it because it's on her TBR too. And then just try to, I guess, emotionally recover from this ending. Also, the action was so good. I love a good fight scene in a book. I love a good fight scene, and I am very picky in fantasy because sometimes when authors write fights, I get lost really easily. And I loved Hannah Keener's fight scenes. I did not get lost at all. And they were so action-packed and so high octane. And I was just like, I was making dinner while I was listening to one of the fights towards the end of the book. And my kids came in to ask me something. And I was like, nope, I can't right now. I can't right now because things are happening. So give me 5 minutes and then I can help you. But I can't right now in this moment. And luckily they are used to that kind of reaction from me, so it was no big deal, but it was so good. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I think I've recovered from my book hangover last night. Whew, that was brutal. I put a poll up on Instagram last night asking everyone to help me pick what my favorite genre is because I couldn't decide. Because I think I've mentioned it a couple times, so this may be overkill, but the second prompt for the first week of Clear Your Shit is to read a book in your favorite genre, and I couldn't decide. So right now it's tied evenly between fantasy and sci-fi. And I went and I looked at my shelf this morning, and all my unread sci-fi is really chunky. And I honestly don't think I'm in the mood for a super chunky book right now. I read a couple of really chunky books in May, and I just I'm not feeling a tome at the moment. So I pulled 2 fantasy books that are on my unread shelf that I'm the most interested in and that are kind of the ideal length that I'm interested in right now, which is about 300, maybe 350. Oh, it's 350 on the dot. So 350 pages. I have The Tropic of Serpents, which is the second book in the Lady Trent series, which I read book 1 last year and really, really liked it, but I haven't continued and I've been meaning to. And then I also have The Witch Would Not, which is Olivia Atwater's most recent release and the first book in her Victorian fairy tale series. So I have about an hour before work. So I'm going to go to a coffee shop that's nearby. I'm going to read the first chapter of each of these, and then I'll pick what I read from there. I'm home from work. I ended up picking The Tropic of Serpents, the second book in the Lady Trent series. I started it and instantly remembered how much I loved book 1 and how fun this series is so far. And I made it 43 pages in, and that's even with pausing to read the first chapter of The Witch Would Not. Is that what it's called? Sure. And not that the Olivia Atwater book wasn't, not that I didn't like it, but that is very much like a gothic fairy tale mystical vibe, which I found my attention drifting while reading that first chapter, and like I had to like forcibly pull myself back a few times, and I didn't experience that at all with the Lady Trent book. So this one, well, let me back up. This series is told in memoir style. So Lady Trent, Isabella, she is writing these memoirs as an older woman after her adventures have, kind of come to an end, and she's reflecting back on her life. And so these are written as if they are being published for society. And the society in this book, it's not England, but it's very much based on like Regency or Victorian England, like sensibilities and rules of conduct and hierarchy and all those things. So in the first book, you follow Isabella as she is a young woman, and you get like a glimpse of her childhood, and then when she meets her husband and they get married and they go on their first expedition together. And this is a world that is like its own fantasy world, but very much inspired by a historic version of historical Europe, I guess, except dragons are real, and the study and the science of dragons is a very real career path for men. But Isabella has always been interested in dragons, and so she strong arms her way into a career studying dragons. And so this book starts 2 years after the first book, and Isabella is getting ready to go on another expedition, but then a character from the first book who is a chemist, his lab is broken into and his journals are stolen. And so I think that's the mystery that we're going with so far. I also heard that one of the characters in here comes out as Ace during this book, and I'm really excited about that. That also probably swayed me, not even a little bit. So I did start this. I do also listen to these on audiobooks because Kate Reading narrates it, and I just love her so much. She also does the Lady Sherlock series, and she just does that no nonsense analytical female protagonist so well, and I like it. I like her so much narrating this type of character. So solid choice on my part. I'm home from work now. I need to eat lunch, and then I'm hoping to read a little bit more before I get to go to the gym, and so that's kind of the plan. Hi all. My air conditioning is on. Hopefully it's not too loud, but it's starting to get hot here in Oregon. I think I might have bit off more than I could chew with my bookish projects for June, and on the one hand, it's all a disaster of my own making, but it's still not like a great situation that I have put myself in. But I was genuinely so excited about all the content I had planned for June, like for Clear Your Shit and for still doing Wheel of Doom, and I have a couple other videos sprinkled in there, and I was so pumped. And to be clear, I am still pumped, but I did not set myself up for success for June. Because of Clear Your Shit, I did Ketchup and Pickles the last week of May, and typically I would do that video the first week of June to finish up all the books that I was still reading at the end of May, and I didn't do that. And so I rolled into this month still reading 3 books that weren't for Clear Your Shit or Wheel of Doom, and I am still reading those 3 books because I am now reading so many books at the same time, and it's stressing me out so much. 3 books is really the max that I like to have going at any given time, and I think I'm at 5 right now, and I don't like it. But I also feel like, I don't feel like I have the room to finish those 3 books, which is ridiculous because of course I do, because YouTube is supposed to be for fun. And reading is for fun, and these projects are supposed to be for fun. So, like, if I'm not having fun, like if I'm stressed, clearly I need to pause and I need to reevaluate and then proceed from there. So I think I need to reevaluate right now. It's currently Wednesday. I'm maybe 25% into Tropic of Serpents. I left it at home, so I can't verify. I think that's how far I am, and I'm having a really good time. But I think in order to really like get the most out of my reading, I am going to have to finish those other books first. So I think I'll have to modify my Wheel of Doom schedule, because I think that's the easiest one to kind of pump the brakes on a little bit, especially since Clear Your Shit is only 2 prompts a week, and I'm a good chunk into Tropic of Serpents, and I really like it. And currently, like, even though I have the physical book, currently it is my primary audiobook. So if I pump the brakes on Wheel of Doom, and let myself catch up, that I should be able to enjoy the rest of Clear Your Shit without stressing out so much. The thing is, there's just too many books I want to read. And I get squirrel brain, and I get so excited about all of my possibilities and all the pretty shiny things, and then I take on too many, and then I get stressed out because I've taken on too many things. All right, thanks for letting me talk that out, because I really needed that, apparently. I just needed to verbalize how I was going to fix this situation that I got myself in. It's okay. I mean, it's not a big deal. Oh my gosh, it's so bright. I had an eye appointment this morning, and I always forget about getting my eyes dilated. It always slips my mind, and so they're better, but I don't remember it being this uncomfortable last time, but it's just very uncomfortable today. And I wasn't able to read for a good chunk of the day because everything that was closer was so blurry. Like I couldn't even answer texts on my phone for a few hours because I just couldn't read them. Thank goodness, as always, for audiobooks, because that is the only reason that I finished A Tropic of Serpents today. It's because I had the audiobook. And I liked this so much. I'm giving it 4.5 stars, which is what I gave book 1. But I would say this one feels much faster paced and much more adventurous than A Natural History of Dragons does. All the regions in this world are made up, but it's fairly easy to tell what real world parts of the world Marie Brennan is inspired by or basing them on. So, for example, Isabella lives in a country called Skierland, which is very much like Victorian England coded. And in this book, she travels to a place that is Africa coded and meets a ruler there who asks her to go into the rainforest to get him a dragon egg, basically. And she does. She goes into the jungle and then nothing goes according to plan. But I really like this one. I love the world building Marie Brennan does in these books. It's so fun, and it's fun because you can see the mirror, but then she just gets so creative with it, and I just admire it so much because it would be so easy to just cop out on the creativity. I love the writing style, how this is memoir style, but even though Isabella's only 23, because it's something she's written as an older woman, you get that like, I'm too old to care what anybody thinks attitude, which I always love. And yeah, it was so fun and very adventurous, lots of action, especially towards the end. And I just think the series is really fun and I really enjoy it. And so this was prompt 2. And since this is the mini readathon, there's only 2 prompts a week. And I would say this first week of Clear Your Shit was really successful. So not that this video is going to be very long, but just for recap purposes, I read Godkiller by Hannah Kaner and I gave it 5 stars. I also just got a message from my library that Sunbringer book 2 is ready for me to pick up. So RIP to my reading plans for next week. they may next week's vlog may be a little different. And then for the second prompt, I read The Tropic of Serpents by Marie Brennan, which I gave 4.5 stars. So I mean, like, what a killer start to the month. I'm so pleased. Like, this went so much better than I had anticipated, and I'm just so happy to have read 2 books that I enjoyed so much. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. If you would like to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's do either some sort of lizard emoji, or you can do some sort of deer emoji. Pick your favorite, and like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Bye!